Okay, I'm just going to show, basically just going to videotape mounting this copper edge bar to the side of the table. Table's upside down. We're going to go look at soldering these on here. I'm going to bore the notches for the copper keys, which get soldered onto the copper edge bar, and then I'll drill a counter hole for these zip bolts. These are the small zip bolts. I've got them in a corner connection where they come with a hinged connection actually on this end. I cut them off and I threaded the ends a 1/4 NC to match the tapped hole I put in this little 3/8 copper bar, which is 1.5 inches long. So anyway, I made a jig to bore the slot, and I've got 4 locations for this particular bar. So basically I just clamp this on the table.
Bending my copper in my press. So far so good. Took me 5 minutes to make this form. Excellent.
These holes kind of get cleaned out a little bit because I gotta let the bolt move with I'm figuring basically every 12 inches distance, this isn't straight grain, it's straight grain down here, so there's not a lot of expansion, but all this grain turns crazy in the corner here. It's acting just like end grain. So basically every 5% moisture swing of this wood, which is seasonal, every 12 inches I figure I'm going to get maybe up to an 1/8 inch expansion. It's probably not going to shrink much more. This room's sitting at 20% humidity. It's been in here a few months. These slabs have been dry for a couple of years. It's always been kept in a conditioned space. So I'm kind of assuming this is the smallest this wood's ever going to get. It's only going to expand from here. I've got this 1-inch diameter fastener bit set to 1.16 inch depth, and I'm basically locating the holes 2¼ inches in. With this set right here, this is about the right spot for this bolt to sit at 2¼ inches in. Now this one here is going to be, I'll probably still drill it at about the same space, but everything's offset 3/16 more this way because I've got this bar here. There's a bar that goes right here, and this is one of my butt joints for expansion. And then there's a cover bar that covers this joint and that joint. There's another one coming in here, so I got 2 joints here. So this is going to grow out, I'm assuming. And then the cover bar comes to about here. The cover bar is going to have it's longer than this, but it's going to have a key soldered, which will go through this hole and into this bore, similar to right about here. The key's going to sit in flush, pretty much right there. Obviously the bolt's going the other direction. This key will be soldered to the cover bar, so it locks this bar vertically on the table into this hole. The key's only going in the hole 3/16. In all these other locations, it's going in full depth, to 3/8 of an inch. And I made these holes on a multi-router. These are only grooves set in 20,000ths. So when I solder these, I can center it. There's a little slot there this way and this way. I can center it, clamp it, and just basically add solder to these lowered areas. And on the first one I tried it, it basically drew the solder in. And I tested where I grabbed this with a vice grips and I can't hardly, I haven't pulled as hard as I can, but I can pull pretty hard sideways trying to rip it off this way. And it's, so far so good. It's on there pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and bore these holes here. All right, now I gotta drill my hole in all the way. And then I gotta ream it out a little bit here. I'm gonna do it sideways to sideways. All right, here's the copper bar. I'm gonna solder on 3 of these little keys. Flux. And I'm using that's why I got this 20,000ths groove that locks this thing in where I want it to be. And I am going to clamp it on. I see the flux start to boil, then I know I'm at about the right temperature. And the reason I'm soldering this and not brazing it is the anneal temperature of copper starts at about 500 degrees. I mean 700 degrees. This solder melts at about 420. I'm going to try to do all 3 of these at once. I'll have to cool it down slightly. Just to make sure that this isn't gonna, copper stays hot really for quite a while. This bar will get hot all the way up to here. And this discoloration will come off with steel wool. The outside of these bars is going to be an 80 grit sanded finish. The biggest concern is to not distort the bar. It just sucked it in the whole way. So that one's done. And I don't know if you could see that very well. I need to check the camera here. So there's the solder joint. You can see that 20,000ths groove here. So 2 more to go. And copper, from what I found out, if you get copper too hot, You know, you get it up to over 700 degrees and it anneals. It doesn't matter how you cool it off. If you cool it off slow or you quench it in water, it doesn't act like carbon steel where it hardens it again. One thing about copper, once it's annealed, it's annealed. The only way to reharden it is to work it like on an anvil, hammer. The reason this stuff is hard, I think copper comes in like 4 or 5 different hardnesses. This is, I think, 110. I'm not really sure how hard that is, or whatever copper bar is. That wasn't good, but at least it hit. Well, this is kind of toasty, but you can see these two. If I can zoom in here. I'm going to probably insert this one. I'm going to just test these to make sure these thread in easy. Okay, that one's good. And I think I will probably thread these in. And I want to thread them in all the way. I want to thread them in so they can jiggle just a little bit. And then I'm going to have to see how well this is all going to shake out. So that's a little jiggly, that's a little jiggly. All right. So this has got to go in here. And then I try to slide these in these holes. And this is still really hot. This is basically, I just got this done. And that's not working out too well. There. Okay, so these are just starting to be inserted. I can get these zip bolts on here. This is the one that's going to be fun. I need to get this over like this and straight, and now I get to try to get this to screw into that. And that's the fun part. I'll probably fast forward the video through this part. This is what I spent many a nights thinking about how hard this is going to be and not mess up the threads. I did one already and it worked pretty good. This is one of these, you don't know if it's going to work till you actually try it. And I've started the threads. Now what I'm going to do is I don't know if I'm really turning that thing. So on the other corner of the table, which I did before, I marked a line down the center of the shaft. So as I spin this, I got to make sure I don't mess up the threads. Okay, I just did one complete turn. This one's going in super simple. I need 3 turns, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Okay, now it doesn't want to turn here. I gotta really grab it hard. And there's a tight spot, and then it loosens up again. Okay, now that's 2. I've gone around 2. This is going remarkably a lot easier than the other side. The other side, I kind of overboard my pilot drill for the tap, just to try to make sure that these threads were a little sloppier than normal. Okay, that's good. I got 3 turns on. I'm gonna go a little bit more. No, that's good. I'm gonna leave it like that. Now, I gotta pull this out just a little bit, but I don't want to bend this to get this down in there, and that fit. And get this going. Drop this one in here. And it'll compete. So 2 1/4 inches from the edge of there to the hole puts that. You can see that this stud fits in there, and then as you turn, maybe I'm too close. As you turn this, there's a little gear that turns and then spins that nut. You drop it in there. I don't know how the hell I can do this so you can see. Okay, that one's on. I haven't tightened it yet. I've always got the ability to go back to retighten these if these happen to loosen or move, but that is on there. It doesn't matter how tight that is. It can't go vertically because of this key. I don't know, can you even see the edge of the table? Or, yeah. All right, I'm gonna back this up now. So anyway, there it is. There's that copper bar. I've got two more.